What's up, guys? It's yoga instructor Drac. Yeah, I sunburned pretty bad at qualifier 3. That's what I get for reffing on the sun side all day. But I got to bring this back with me, and I'm very excited to give you guys an early review of this. So it should be coming out, I think, August 1st. And it's going to cost 40 United States dollars. And given that it's an Adventure Force Pro Blaster, I think that we can all infer that it's a Walmart exclusive. But this is the Deuce Pro, and I've heard it. I've heard all the jokes, right? They're dropping a deuce on the Maverick, you know. They're deucing them. It's got a little bit in common with a deuce and a half in that it'll run on just about anything, and it seems resilient, and it hits like a tank. It's pretty much the coolest revolver style sidearm that I think that we've seen since the Hammer Shot. The Hammer Shot being a full-length zombie strike blaster that at this point is almost a decade old. This thing is next levels of cool. I've wanted a dedicated half-length revolver for a very, very long time. And I guess you could say that it's been done before, and I think it would be disingenuous not to, but this runs on compressed air. It's not going to be welcome at various different fields and setups, and you're going to have CO2 cartridges just to make it run. However, this is manually powered, still a very compact shell form factor, and hits just as hard, if not harder than this, with the barrel attachment on. So, with that said, let's launch right into the Deuce Pro. Inside, you get 26 pieces. That's marketing jargon for what all it comes with, but it comes with a lot. At 40 United States dollars, this guy comes with a drop leg holster complete with straps and buckles for a quick disconnect. It comes with a additional holster add-on attachment thing for the barrel extension if you choose to holster them separately or not together. It's very modular in that way. You get 1, 2, 3 of the cylinders and then enough AF Pro darts up top here to load all of them. In addition, you get a kind of side saddle up in here that holds the cylinders, as well as the pistol itself, which breaks down into a 2-part construction, and we'll talk more intimately about that. I suppose you could count this little top rail thing as a piece, and I'm sure they do, but let's get it out of the package so that we can start talking about these parts more dynamically. All right, so this is the blaster itself, complete with all of the darts, the holster, the attachments, etc. and so forth. And I want to talk about all of them independently. I guess we'll start with my number one downside of the blaster, and that's that these cylinders have a relatively loose dart fit. Now, as long as the darts are new, they do an okay job. They've got kind of like a tab that indexes through on the back of the cylinder, as well as a spring-loaded kind of mechanism in the blaster itself, which makes these completely drop cylinders. So that's pretty convenient. The reload it's very easy. You just kind of slap new ones in. And the loose dart fit makes a ton of sense because the way that this functions is that the plunger and the pusher are all one piece, you know, like Oda's legendary treasure. But that means that you can't drop the cylinder while you're primed. You have to be locked back. Now, in terms of why the performance gets better, if you look down the barrel there, since this is the pusher, you wind up pushing the dart into what becomes a very stubby kind of chamber. Certainly not enough chamber for a pro-level blaster. It basically chambers the dart into this plastic sort of node up here, but there's no effective barrel length. Now, enter the attachment here, which has a pretty standard pro-length metal barrel in here, along with the attachment in the gasket to connect through. So the difference there, and I'll make this abundantly clear, is with, you know, just a regular dart and no cylinder so that you guys can visualize it. This is a normal shot when it's in sort of its revolver super compact form. And it still fires. I mean, it's a half-length dart coming out of a relatively half-length size chamber. We'll get FPS readings for all of this. But to put that into perspective, if I load in another dart, let the pusher here kind of chamber it in, and then I add this extra barrel length here, now you can hear the pop gets a little bit louder. You get a little bit more time for that dart to accelerate under compression, and the FPS improves. This is fascinating. Nobody else, at least in the industry, has gotten to the point yet where they can merge kind of a breech into a barrel system. Usually, the rule of thumb is anytime a Hasbroid barrel goes onto something, you're inducing barrel drag. They don't want a sealed breech system, so since they don't have that, you just add kind of a dead air space that the dart has to travel through, might bounce off the walls, reduces your accuracy and reduces your FPS. We call this barrel drag. This is not the case here. Adding the barrel is an actual functional attachment and explains why you might want a dedicated holster clip like this to hold both of them. Now, as far as I'm concerned from a value perspective, I would buy a Pro revolver for $40. So at least for me and where I'm at kind of in my foam flinging career, the holster is entirely extra for me. Everything that holds the bonuses, that's like a freebie in my opinion. And for a freebie holster, it's great. It's friction fit. It's got a pretty good hold. Obviously, you know, not perfect, but it's pretty solid. And you can use it one of two ways. If the barrel is attached like this, you can still holster through and it just kind of looks like you've got big iron on your hip, and you can draw out like that. The interesting part is that you can create kind of a modular holster, and once you snap this in, you're not fully committed, but you're pretty close. There's got these two snaps here, and you can snap it on, and it attaches basically like that, pushes through, and now you have a dedicated rig. Your sort of subload here is a little bit bigger, and it holds, you know, your barrel and this. And if you want to get really cute with it, you can almost like Underworld style, you could unholster, clip in. You'd have to kind of articulate and twist in a weird sort of way, and then pull out like so. So in that way, I think that it's very interesting. But Blaster's features include this sort of top rail attachment. This will be one of the first things that we replace on Foam Pro Shop, no doubt. And then down here, you've got this safety mechanism. And all that's doing is that when the blaster is primed, let me put a dart in so we're not dry firing. You can't pull the trigger unless you've got this grip safety compressed here. So grip safeties are nothing new in firearms world, but I guess the blaster has so much power that it needed a safety of some sort, and they decided that they didn't want to break up this kind of clean line on the side here with any sort of a push-through switch. So safety delete's going to look a little different for this guy. Grip appears to be a two-piece construction that'll come off, and we'll play with that as well. These panels here, you would think that the white is the only part of the panel that's independent, but the entire panel is like an independent piece of plastic. It's got good tolerances, it's pretty tight, but it's just an interesting choice in deco, and I don't know why it is that way. But as far as the blaster itself goes, ratcheting through and reloading is pretty easy. Once you clip in, kind of gives you a nice little click. As long as you're not primed, you can do all sorts of fun revolver tricks with it, and then you can slam it home, and it'll auto-index and articulate. So you fire once, and then when you prime, you'll note that it clicks once, I guess, clockwise, and then you're good to go through the entire cylinder. The one downside that I found playing with it at the qualifier was that you could see here how there is a dart in here, and maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. I just, you know, I want to point out that when I found that I was ripping out of the holster quickly, well, this one isn't doing it. Cool. All right, so now I'm going to try and create the issue that I had, which is okay, so if I really flick into it, you can see that this one loading chamber on the side here is just exposed enough that the dart that's sitting in there, you can kind of, well, so like that time it didn't happen, but if the darts aren't, you know, a perfect fit, they'll fly out. But it's not happening to this one. I guess I had some looser fitting darts while I was playing out of, I guess, the community bin of used stuff at the Foam Pro Tour. And occasionally I'd whip it out of the holster, and if I whipped it out fast enough, the dart would fall out. And that was kind of like, now I'm down around. But fortunately, this is a great little compliant mechanism. These click into place, and they're very easy to get out because they've got this kind of detent here. So it sits on your hip, and to pop them out, you just click, click, and they're pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to making new cylinders for this just to have extras. But this kind of spring-loaded mechanism that holds the darts in is a little loose for my taste. It's not bad, it's just not amazing, especially since that's not actively part of the barrel material, because the dart is pushed into the chamber and then from the chamber into the barrel or into space, depending upon what you want to do. Now, I know that that was a lot of rambling, but given that this is, I think, the only sample running around, I don't know what happened to the other set of the samples after Q3. I wanted to be as comprehensive as I possibly could. You've got kind of like a loop attachment back here, which means that if you really wanted to, you could loop two around your back, push forward to prime back, and that would be pretty interesting. But overall, I want to be really comprehensive about the gear. I'm definitely going to model the attachments for you. One thing worth noting here is that these are pretty nice. The strapping has lots of loops and it's adjustable. It's not quite like, you know, Molly levels of adjustable, but it's pretty adjustable. And then the belt loop, solves a problem that I have occasionally, where this is a robust enough belt loop that not only could you throw it on a leather belt and be very happy with that, but also it'll fit, I think, a Condor battle belt, and it definitely fits my SOE belt, which is a full-size Cobra buckle on it. It's very rare for toy holsters to fit a Cobra buckle. That's Cobra Buckle, not the guy from Lilo and Stitch. That's Cobra Bubbles.
Cobra Bubbles. You don't look like a social worker.
Anyway, let's take this thing outside, put it through its paces. All right, guys, so we're outside, and I just want to show you the setup. Peep the super slick Singaporean competitive jacket. Ignore the very trashed dog walking Yeezy slides. But over here, we've got the holster. This is on pretty standard BDUs. I've gone ahead and cinched this up pretty tight on account of your boy skips leg day. But over here, we've got the belt attachment. Like I said, pretty modular. You can unclip the whole thing if you wanted to like walk in and, you know, go grab yourself a cheeseburger or something between rounds at the war and maybe don't want the explicit big iron on your hip. But then to get it back into position is pretty easy. And again, I use a lot of sub loads in my loadouts. I've always been a battle belt sub loadout kind of guy. I don't like wearing chest rigs because of how I play, but unholstering is very comfortable. Getting it back in there is pretty easy. And the longer you did that, the more you'd be able to do it, you know, without thinking. And I just did it without even the no look. There we go. Overall, especially when you consider that I think that the holster is free value, the holster is excellent. Its retention is good enough, kind of bouncing around like this. It's not going anywhere, and it's got minimal flop. It would be a lot better, obviously, if I tightened it up higher on my hip and then tightened the leg strap so that it was more on my thigh. But for the purposes of just this review video, I think the holster is fine. I will not be making an upgrade holster for this one, specifically because I think that it's really good and I like drop legs. So we're ready to go. I think that we'll do the first few without the barrel attachment on. These are using AF Pro darts. So we'll do 6 shots over the crony without the attachment. Then we'll do another 6 with the attachment. You guys can see I've got my my extra rack here. I could definitely see a world where you'd buy a couple of these and store 4 of them on sort of like almost a shotgun shell sort of setup thing. I don't know. It makes sense to me what I'm trying to describe, but the more tactical the accessories get, the more I'm going to struggle to describe them adequately, because there's always somebody who's played way more Call of Duty than you. Right, internet? Anyway, let's get some numbers. 76, not bad. 93, much better. Duplicate 93. Error. That's not correct. What just happened there? I guess this is a cylinder where one of the darts fell out. That's not loaded. There we go. And 95. So let's just go ahead and call it a pretty solid 90 for our average there. Oh no, the dart is in there. What happened? Did I index it wrong? Let's throw one more over. Why not? 88. Yeah, I think 90 is a pretty safe assumption for what we're doing without the barrel attachment. Now let's go ahead and throw the barrel attachment on. Again, these kind of click up pretty easy. They're down there. Click, got it, in your hand. They only go in one way, clicks into place. Woo! Auto indexes and good. All right, so with the barrel attachment, this is a no barrel attachment End War blaster, coming in at 132. That's interesting. 128. 123. Huh. That's interesting. 127. There we go. I'm not sure what was going on there. If my indexing was off, maybe I was going through it not deliberately enough. It seems to rotate on the back, and there's like a click back here, and that's what rotates through. If you do that too fast, you can skip one. If you do it not at all, you won't index. So just be cognizant of the fact that there's the prime, and this back part clicks you through. Just of note, this fits back into the side saddle pretty comfortably, and we can pop out this one. We'll put a few down range. We'll go ahead and leave the big frame revolver attachment on there just to see if it improves our ability to hit our box. Now, with only 6 shots, I don't have the highest of hopes, but we'll see. Oh, I should extend my attachment through, right? That was pretty close, actually. Hey, all right, I'll take it. So that's 1 and 4, kind of dialing it in. There you go. I don't know, guys. I love revolvers. I love sidearms. I think that this one's pretty slick, and it's got plenty of power. No, that's 3. That's pretty good. All right, so that's 3 shots on target. Maybe I should play with pistols more often. Who knows? Who knows? The gunslinger class is alive and well. Like I said, you could split this. You could add the attachment here and throw this down in here. Overall, a really cool package. At $40, I could definitely see myself throwing a string on them, holstering them like this with a string behind my back. And then after, like, say, one pointing a primary, you could definitely go, whew, I'm your Huckleberry. I don't know. It's cool, guys. Definitely gives me a few SAA vibes. But very, very interesting stuff. I like this. This is a good compliant mechanism. It's got really good attachment there. I mean, there's a few things that I want to do over on foamproshop.com, but we'll save that for the mod guide. I look forward to your comments down below. Overall, I think that this one is a slam dunk, a huge win. It spins very comfortably with and without the barrel attachment on, even faster without. And who knows, if you're a really big fan of gunslinging, you might want to leave the safety in there because you can't fire while spinning if you have no interaction with that safety mechanism. This is probably my one downside to the product, but I understand why they had to include it because anything that shoots 130 is probably going to need something to that effect. But overall, just a really slick six shooter. Try and say that a few times in one take. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. I think that this one's coming out, like I said, in about 2 months here at Walmart and Walmart.com, like the rest of the Adventure Force blasters, but overall, pretty slick. Thanks for watching. Much love. Blast on. Drac out.